The societal structures which guaranteed social protection for families and the sense of communal responsibility for the welfare of particularly the elderly have largely eroded. Government policies and structures for social protection have failed to substitute for eroded cultural norms, resulting in incidences of destitution, isolation, loneliness, severe poverty, and the accompanying mental health problems for many across the country. For aged women in the 5 regions of the North, the lack of social protection by their families, communities, and the government is glaring as they are abandoned and left to fend for themselves, even at the point of severe illness. Certain cultural and traditional practices are also responsible for resigning these women to this fate without any hope of survival and integration into society. A common one is when widows are accused of witchcraft and murder when they lose their husbands. Women are similarly blamed for other misfortunes that befall their families. In the Bongo district of the Upper East region, where our focus is, there are more than 200 vulnerable women who are living in extreme abject poverty without any hope for support. Most of these women have been caught up in a web of accusation leveled against them, stemming from primitive cultural and traditional beliefs by virtue of being a woman. The Bongo community, which is home to the Frafra people, sees these women as outcasts and cursed, thus subjecting them to isolation. They have become objects of mockery and disgrace, which has led to many dying of frustration and hunger. Our lenses focused on a few out of the over 200 vulnerable women in the Bongo district who are living under such conditions. Here at Anafo Sibi Daglega, Mabila Nyaba, who is about 80 years and lost her husband many years ago, lives in this dilapidated mud structure without electricity.
She said she lives with one son. He has only one son who is unemployed, and that's whom he lives with. Currently, the son is not at home, so she's home all alone. Okay. She says she feeds from the farm produce she brings from the very farm just around the house here, and that's all she has.
Mabila Nyaba sleeps on this lean, wretched mattress, shorter than a student mattress, and on the bare floor. The thatched roof of her dwelling has fallen in with a gaping hole which lets rainwater in and floods the space during the wet season.
She has to go and peg at someone's veranda just for the night or for the period of the rain to elapse, so that she'll come back. If the structure is not collapsed, she goes in, but if she comes and it's collapsed, she has to go see where she can peg again. But whenever it's raining and it begins to fall like this, she can't stay in here for the fear that everything might fall on her. So she goes to peg around the community, anybody who allows her to peg at the veranda until the rain is over.
Nyaba James, a resident of the community who is passionate about the plight of Mabila Nyaba, says her situation needs immediate attention.
Is like a grandmother to me. We live in the same community, not very far from where I stay. Most of the time I observe her life and the way she does her things, and I see that she is a lady that is really suffering. Because some of the basic necessities a human beings need to go with, she doesn't have them, and she doesn't have access to them. So that is how I got to know this woman. She is a lady around here I know so much that no one else should tell me more about her, because I've experienced her life myself and I know her.
James explains why certain cultural and traditional beliefs of the area are unfair to women. He believes they should be abolished.
Mothers will know, without a mother there is no community. In every home there should be a woman to make the home nice for people to stay. So if we have people like this still living with us, it's grace and it's a blessing to have elderly ones like this among us. There are other communities and other states that will not see their age mates again. So when we have people like this and we see their conditions like that, I think that as the youth, we should come together in order to provide a particular help that can help them, that can enhance or make their life easier. If we keep abandoning these ones, let me hit on this. Culture in the Fafra land here sometimes allow us to abandon some of these women. They pronounce curses on them, they say they are wizards, they say they are beasts, they say, and because of that, a lot of people really want to help, but they fear to come to help because they think that approaching or connecting to such a person would equally, make their life miserable. So because of that, a lot of people do want to help, but they are afraid of the fact that they hear stories behind the scene about them. But I want to stand to be corrected and to prove all these things wrong. That is not really always true. It's not necessarily true that when you see an old person struggling to walk or walking with a stick, does not really make the person a wizard or a witch, but it's age. And everybody is going to be at a particular age. So when you see these people who are really vulnerable and they need help, we should rather run to them and help and stop investing our money on things
Philip. Sanabisi Kavre Akurio Electroida has been a challenge for the past years. Not only witchcraft associated to old age and the like. We have other like female genital mutilation and other cultural practices that at the end you will feel be embarrassed in a way. My humble advice is that we have been doing engagement with the stakeholders as to how we minimize certain things. Everything boils to education. When the people get to realize that, yes, being an old age person doesn't mean that you're a witch or a wizard. I think the stigmatization or going to help this kind of person will be reduced. I think we are on it as an assembly. We are on it seriously. So looking forward, I think it will come down. But once the people are into it, we can't just take it away completely. But as time goes on, people get to realize that when you are aged.
Awon Periba Atia at Cabre Turi is close to 90 years and lives with her grandchildren. Awon Periba Atia lives and shares this single room with 3 other people. At her age, she's denied any privacy.
Sometimes, once in a while, she do get help from family members and neighbors around, but it's not always. But once in a while, she do get. When it comes to food, she has people. Sometimes they come around to support her with food items, which the family depends on. And, she doesn't also have anything to depend on. Like when it comes to food, it's always a problem for her. So if there's any help at all, she would want something that she can lay her head in, and then her daily food is what she thinks is a problem.
Her grandson, Ambugri Evans, who had initially migrated to the southern part of the country for greener pastures, came back home to take care of her when everybody abandoned her.
Mama yawa mara apunkadana emma di mamgora irizo.
Bongo even says that he is a traveler. He goes down south in search of greener pastures. He was there once in a while and he heard that the grandmother has been abandoned. So he has no option than to come back and to sit and take care of the grandmother. And as it is now, when he came home, everything was eventually true that the grandmother needed help. So he had no option than to really stay here and do the toiling so that the grandmother would rather sit. Said a week or 2 weeks ago, he lost a dear one to his heart. That was the uncle. He lost an uncle. And so currently they are mourning the uncle's death before we arrived. So that is the situation at hand right now. That things are not just easy at all for him and the mother and the rest of the family.
In Frafra tradition, when a family has no sons, one of the daughters is banned from getting married and leaving the family home. She is, however, compelled to produce children with men who are willing to reproduce with her in order to continue the family lineage. Such is the story of Awini Nyaba, a woman in her late 40s at Cabre. She currently has 4 children with different men, but still lives in her father's house.
Manang kamano bariba na mama ambihira kamano nang katapanga mamengala ni bang ma ingse to bedi mankel mina ma ingse to baso de ye tin masala mama za wa ba for tuma manang kamano ma kamano bana pa amna pambon.
She's a mother of 4 children. They don't have any other person living with them in this house. She plus her children are 5 together in this house, and that they are very young children. They don't have anything to do. It's all her responsibility as to what she will bring home for them to eat, and how she does it, only God can imagine. Because there's nobody and no one else who brings else for them. She knows what she does for the 4 children. So, the late father didn't have a male child, so she was compelled to stay home and remain and maintain the lineage of the family. So that is an example. A typical example is our mother here. Our mother here has a story like that. Her father didn't have a male child, so she was compelled to stay home and to continue the lineage of the family. So in her situation now, you would notice that if she was married to a responsible man, at least things would have been better off the way she is now. So this situation tells us that we should no more embrace some of the things that don't bring development anymore, but brings
This collapsed room is the home of Atonkobe Nso, who is in her 80s at Cabre Zoom. The house collapsed during the last rainy season and is yet to be constructed. Atonkobe Nso is now compelled to sleep on her veranda or sometimes on the veranda of other people's homes, especially when it rains.
So since she came into this house, she married into this house, she has not known our grandmother's husband. It means the husband died so many years ago, and she's married into the house for a couple of 20 years and counting. And all she has known our grandmom to do is to be going around gathering marbles, this kind of stock. That's how she survives. Sometimes she approaches people when help doesn't come from anywhere. She approaches people to ask for help. But instead, when she approaches the people, they run away with the intention that she's a witch or a wizard. Currently, what her main problem is where to lay her head. That if she gets a better place to lay her head, she will be so glad. That even sometimes, because of the nature of the place she sleeps, she's not able to store any food. So even she asks for food now and we bring food, there's no place to store the food. Because where she stays with animals. She leaves food here and 1 minute it's been taken by animals. So because of that, she's praying that if she gets a secure place to lay her head, then food can come at any time.
She currently engages in picking and gathering of stones and dried millet stalks to keep herself busy and to feel useful. In the middle of our interaction with her, This boy was sent by his parents to give her food from the neighboring house, a few meters from where she stays. It is her wish that the collapsed room is reconstructed for her before the next wet season. It is our hope that this Lenten season you'll be moved to do your little to support these women and to make their lives a bit more bearable than it is. Chat with Jesus, grow in Christ. God bless you.